So today's topic is a very interesting topic and again a very relatable topic. So have you ever felt tired but sleep did not fix it? You woke up, you've had like good rest, 7 to 8 hours of sleep, everything looks okay, but अंदर से you feel drained, right? So कभी ऐसा हुआ है that you cancel plans not because you're busy but because you just don't have the energy to engage, या फिर शायद आप स्क्रॉल कर रहे हो आपके फोन पे एंड नथिंग इज मेकिंग यू फील बेटर. आप काम कर रहे हो लेकिन आपको ऐसा लगेगा कि बैकग्राउंड में देयर इज अ लॉट ऑफ हैवीनेस इन योर चेस्ट, यू फील वेरी हैवी. और सबसे कंफ्यूजिंग पार्ट क्या होता है दैट नथिंग इज रॉन्ग, नो बिग प्रॉब्लम एज सच, नो बिग क्राइसिस, फिर भी अंदर से यू डोंट फील गुड, अंदर से यू फील रियली हैवी. So why we took this very interesting topic is because we've seen this very often in our line of work. So a lot of times when people book clarity calls with us at Anamify and we ask them what would you like to work on, what's been bothering you, very often the answer is not clear. Sometimes clients come to us and they say, I don't exactly know what the problem is, but I feel emotionally exhausted, I feel very drained and I don't know why. So then in the session, we start exploring what's been happening in your life, what are you carrying, what has slowly led you to feel this way. And most of the time, it's not one big problem. So when we explore with them, it's rarely one big thing. It's usually a lot of small things which are happening very quietly in the background. So if you have been feeling something similar, let's just sit with this together for a bit. And as we go ahead, just notice what you relate to, right? Because sometimes clarity doesn't come from, big answers. It comes from recognizing these small things, small invisible things that are actually draining you. So let's try to understand these small patterns, see if you can relate to it, right? So if you have been feeling something very similar, like very tired, you are feeling without a clear reason, then today's conversation is for you. So whatever we are going to discuss in today's session are very common reasons and not from Google but from what we actually see in our real conversations with real people. Okay, so let's get started. The very first reason why you feel so drained, why you feel emotionally exhausted even when nothing is wrong, right? The very first reason is too many tabs are open in your head. Okay, so I don't know if you have seen this movie Dhurandhar the Revenge. So there's a very interesting thing about Ranveer Singh's character. So he plays a spy, and once a mission is over, he doesn't carry everything forward. So he literally burns parts of his past before moving to the next mission. Now, of course, हम spies नहीं है, but there's something very powerful in that idea. और हमारे real life में हम क्या करते हैं? One conversation happens, we don't process it. एक thought आता है, we say, I'll think about it later. Something is feeling off, we ignore it. And slowly what happens? We keep opening tabs. One tab from yesterday, one tab from last week, one tab from something that somebody said 6 months ago, 4-5 years ago. और फिर हम सोचते ही रह जाते हैं that I don't know why I'm feeling so tired. है ना? आप काम कर रहे हो, you're working, but suddenly you remember something from 4-5 years ago. And you feel stuck in that conversation. You're eating but mentally you are solving a lot of problems. You're about to sleep and then suddenly your brain says that okay, let's think about everything now, है ना? तो ये बिल्कुल if I have to give an example, ये बिल्कुल exactly आपके फ़ोन की तरह है. You think कि आपका बैटरी फुल है, आपने अभी चार्ज किया है. So there are 25 apps running in the background. you are not using them actively, लेकिन they are consuming energy, and that is your mind. Half finished thoughts, unresolved conversation, things on which you never got closure, they don't disappear, they just run in the background. एंड जब हम क्लाइंट्स को ये बोलते हैं तो कभी कभार ऐसा होता है दैट दे गिव अस बैक अ काउंटर आर्ग्यूमेंट ऑन दिस. दे से बट आई एम सपोज टू मल्टीटास्क, आई हैव टू मैनेज सो मेनी थिंग्स, ऐसे कैसे हम कुछ भी हम सोचना बंद कर दे. सो हियर इज समथिंग वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. आई एम नॉट सेइंग डोंट मल्टीटास्क. आज के लाइफ में ऑफ कोर्स यू हैव टू मैनेज वर्क, देयर आर हेल्थ गोल्स, फैमिली रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज, दैट्स नॉर्मल. We all have to, in some or the other way multitask. But the problem is, you're just not multitasking with what's important. You are multitasking with things that don't even need your attention now. है ना? आप रिलैक्स होने के लिए आप वॉक पे निकले हो, वॉक करने के लिए जा रहे हो, बट पूरी वॉक में आप किसी से आर्ग्यूमेंट जीत के आ गए हो. मतलब मन ही मन यू आर थिंकिंग अबाउट दैट यू वन एन आर्ग्यूमेंट विथ समबडी एंड दिस इज हाउ यू विल आर्ग्यू. है ना? तो रियल लाइफ में द कॉन्वर्जेशन इज ओवर, कॉन्वर्जेशन खत्म हो गया, बट आपके दिमाग में उसका अभी भी सीजन 2 सीजन 3 चल रहा है, राइट? सो योर एग्जॉशन इज नॉट कमिंग फ्रॉम डूइंग टू मच, it's coming from holding too much at the same time. So the question is not that how do I do less. The question is ki what can I close, है ना? Which tab can I close? It's about shutting down a few tabs. तो सब कुछ कैसे हम हैंडल करें? तो सबसे पहले हमें आइडेंटिफाई करना है कि which tab can I close which has been taking a lot of space. That one conversation, one thought, one loop. Because closing even that one tab, it creates space. जैसे कभी कभार we get a notification कि आपका Google जो है it's become full storage, there's no more storage, right? फोन में कभी कभी ऐसे होता है. तो we start investigating which app am I not using, which app is taking more space, which app is draining my battery life, है ना? So you don't have to fix everything at once, but you can start noticing what am I still carrying that I don't need to carry right now. And slowly you can begin to let that go. हम नहीं बोल रहे कि सब कुछ एक साथ ही सॉर्ट आउट करना ज़रूरी है, बट ये देखना ज़रूरी है कि ऐसी कौन सी चीज़ है जो आप कैरी कर रहे हो जिससे ये वेट जो है ये बढ़ रहा है, राइट? सो इफ़ योर माइंड इज़ फीलिंग क्राउडेड, so don't try to clean the whole room. Just pick one corner, one thought, one situation, one thing that you want to release, and that's where the shift begins. Okay? So this was about the first reason why you feel emotionally exhausted even when nothing is wrong, क्योंकि there are too many tabs open in your head. So now let's move to the second reason. Okay, second reason, ये बहुत relatable होगा. This one is going to hit a lot of people, that you are everybody's go-to person. है ना? कुछ लोग ऐसे होते हैं, they are the default problem solver. You are the one that people rely on. You are always there for everyone. You are the listener in every conversation. You are the listener in every room. So somewhere along the way, you have become everybody's therapist 24/7. तो आपका जो emotional helpline है, it's always open. And on the surface it looks like a strength, है ना? you're dependable, mature, very sorted, ऐसा लोग कहते हैं. You handle things very well. But what people don't see, or rather maybe what even you don't see, is that you're holding space for everyone except yourself. You're carrying everyone else quietly. You are processing their emotions, their problems, their confusion, but your own feelings, उसको आप साइड में रख देते हो कि बाद में देखेंगे. And slowly without even realizing it, you train yourself to become strong for everyone else. So you become the person who doesn't need help. You become the person who doesn't complain, who just manages. है ना, कभी ऐसा होता है ना कि somebody calls you and they tell you that यार I really wanted to talk to you and you show up कभी भी, any time of the day, any time of the night. बट क्या आपने कभी किसी को कॉल करके बोला है दैट आई नीड टू टॉक, दैट समथिंग दैट आई वांट टू डिस्कस, है ना? तो just because you can carry everything, it doesn't mean that in the process you're not getting tired. So your exhaustion is not random. It's the weight of everything that you have been holding without putting anything down. So यहाँ पे जो शिफ्ट की हम बात कर रहे हैं, it's we are not saying that stop being there for your loved one, or stop being there for people, stop helping people. The shift is that you don't have to be available all the time. You can still care without always carrying the load, है ना? तो हर किसी के लिए अवेलेबल रहना ज़रूरी नहीं है हर समय. कभी कभी खुद के लिए भी अनअवेलेबल होना ज़रूरी होता है. मतलब खुद के लिए, दूसरों के लिए अनअवेलेबल होना ज़रूरी होता है ना? बिकॉज यू ऑल्सो नीड स्पेस टू फील, टू प्रोसेस, to rest. Sorry guys, so it suddenly started raining here, so okay. So I was saying that हाँ, खुद के लिए, दूसरों के लिए अनअवेलेबल होना ज़रूरी होता है. That's what I was saying. Because even you need space. You also need space to feel, to process, to rest. आपने सबके लिए you have taught yourself how to hold space for everybody else. So now maybe it's time to create a little space for your own self. It's very nice, being the strong one is always beautiful. You'll get a lot of compliments for being the strong one. But you don't have to be the strong one always. You are also allowed to need support. है ना? So this is the second reason why you feel emotionally exhausted, because you are the go-to person for everybody, है ना? और ये काफ़ी बार we get to hear this, and somewhere this is something that people realize that they've been doing for too long. So now let's move to the third reason. Okay, the third reason because of which you feel drained is your mind doesn't have a off button, right? Even when nothing is happening, everything is happening. So you're sitting quietly, but your mind, it's replaying something that someone said. It's preparing for a conversation that hasn't even happened yet. It's explaining, defending, imagining, all at the same time. कभी ये notice किया है कि you finish a conversation and later in your head you're like I should have said this and I should have responded like that, and suddenly you've had like the same conversation 5 times but only once in real life, है ना? तो ये सब चीज़ें जो होती है ना, our mind is never on off, and sometimes we think we are resting. We pick up our phone, we start scrolling, but are we really resting? Or we are just giving more content to our mind to process, more comparisons, more information, more stimulation, है ना? आप फोन स्क्रॉल कर रहे हो बट एक्चुअली आप रेस्ट नहीं कर रहे हो. आप अपने दिमाग को और चीज़ें आप दे रहे हो प्रोसेस करने के लिए. आप इंस्टाग्राम ओपन करते हो या कोई भी व्हाट्सएप या सोशल मीडिया ओपन करते हो रिलैक्स करने के लिए, एंड 10 मिनट के बाद आप किसी और के लाइफ के बारे में सोचने लगते हो. एंड समथिंग फनी दैट क्लाइंट्स टेल अस दैट वी ऑल्सो गेट क्लैरिटी. हमें पता है क्लैरिटी कब आती है? रात को जब हम सोने जाते हैं, तब हमको सारा क्लैरिटी आ जाता है. तो तब हमारा दिमाग हमको बोलता है कि सारे पेंडिंग थॉट्स जो अक्यूमुलेटेड है, लेट्स डिस्कस दैट राइट नाउ, उसको अभी डिस्कस करते हैं, है ना? तो एक छोटी सी बात जो दिन में होती है, It stays with you the entire day until the night. आपने कॉन्शियसली उस बात को इम्पोर्टेंस नहीं दिया है. यू हैव नॉट बीन थिंकिंग अबाउट इट. यू हैव बीन डूइंग योर वर्क एंड एवरीथिंग, बट योर सिस्टम डजंट लेट इट गो. So even when you're resting, say you think that you're scrolling and you're resting, but at the background, your mind is constantly working. And constant mental activity without taking any pause, that is exhausting. That is exhausting. And this connects to what we spoke when we started today's live. Earlier we said too many tabs are open, which means that your mind is already full. So there's a storage overload. Unresolved conversations है, thoughts है, बहुत सारे loops है which are sitting in the background. But यहाँ पे जो हम problem discuss कर रहे हैं, the deeper problem is that those tabs are not just open. They're all actively running. So you're not just carrying a lot, but you're constantly processing a lot. And that's why even when nothing is wrong, you feel exhausted. है ना? तो यहाँ पे हम shift कैसे create कर सकते हैं? By intentionally having small pauses in between all the noise. छोटे छोटे moments जहाँ आपका mind कुछ भी process ना करे, बस थोड़ा सा rest करे. Even 5-10 minutes without phone, without scrolling, without input. Because right now, your mind is not tired of thinking. It's tired of constantly having to process something or the other, constant stimulation. और जब आप उसको थोड़ा सा स्पेस देते हो, तभी वो धीरे धीरे स्लो होना शुरू करता है. So you need to take this intentional pause so that you give some space to your mind and you don't have to keep processing all the time. Okay, so again, this one, I think a lot of people, for them, sitting with themselves means sitting with their phone and they just go on scrolling. They just don't understand कि कैसे वक्त निकल गया. It says कि 15-20 minutes तक करते हैं, but sometimes they think that 2-3 hours are just gone. So this is one reason which actually makes you exhausted emotionally without even you realizing it. So all these reasons that we are discussing, ये सब कुछ इनविजिबल है. मतलब आपको ये दिखता नहीं है जब ये होता है, आपको ये बाद में रियलाइज होता है कि why am I feeling this way, है ना? So now let's go to the fourth reason. Okay, so the fourth reason is again a very subtle reason. The reason is that decision fatigue. Okay, and this happens to a certain kind of people. There are people who like to make the right decision all the time. People who don't want to mess up. Basically जो लोग बोलते हैं कि I'm a very thoughtful person, है ना? Thoughtful people, basically they are overthinkers, somewhere perfectionists. So what happens is that you don't make decisions, you process them, and then you reprocess them, and then once again you reprocess them. Let's say आप free हो and you decide that you want to watch a movie. So decision has been made. But 10 minutes later, your mind goes that, oh, was this the best choice? Maybe I should have watched, the other movie. And now, suddenly, instead of enjoying the movie, you have started comparing the movies in your head. This happens with, buying anything also. Buying a phone, you research, आप compare करते हो, analyze करते हो. Finally, you choose one. But after buying it, maybe the other one was better. So I was reading 2 memes on Instagram that कभी कभी Swiggy Zomato खोलते हैं और 20 minutes तक देखते जाते हैं कि क्या है और एंड में जाके सेम चीज़ ऑर्डर करते हैं. या कभी Netflix ओपन किया और डिसाइड करते करते थक गए कि कौन सी मूवी देखना है. सो डिसीजन लेने से ज़्यादा डिसीजन लेने के बाद भी उसको डाउट करना, ये ज़्यादा एग्जॉस्टिंग होता है. सो यू आर जस्ट नॉट टायर्ड फ्रॉम मेकिंग डिसीजंस, यू आर टायर्ड फ्रॉम कंटिन्यूसली डाउटिंग देम. एंड दिस डजंट स्टॉप एट स्मॉल थिंग्स. You may be thinking ki, this I do with movies, this I only do with clothes and, gadgets. This doesn't stop at small things. You end up doing this with everything, with every choice, with every lost opportunity, with every conversation that didn't go well, even relationships. Constantly weighing, what if, what if I had chosen differently? So, if you see, your mind is not living one life, it's mentally living multiple versions of your life at the same time. So, at the same time, you are imagining like 5 different versions of yourself based on different choices. ये किया होता तो क्या होता, वैसा किया होता तो क्या होता, वो करना चाहिए था. तो based on lost opportunities, you are imagining 5 different versions of your life. And all of these things, it utilizes a lot of mental energy. So even if you have been sitting and doing nothing, but your mind has been constantly analyzing, comparing, doubting, of course you will feel tired. क्योंकि जो decision fatigue के हम बात कर रहे हैं, it's not about making the right choice, it's not about choosing. The fatigue comes from never feeling settled even after choosing. And all of this energy, when it goes into what if, so there's very little energy left for creativity, for clarity, or for actually living your life. तो यहाँ पे अगर हमको कुछ शिफ्ट लाना है, so you have to understand that the goal is to not make a perfect decision every time. ऐसा कुछ है ही नहीं perfect decision जैसा. The goal is to make a decision and allow yourself to stay with it. हर डिसीजन के बाद उसको डाउट करना ज़रूरी नहीं होता है. So next time you choose something, आप नोटिस करना that are you living that choice or are you rethinking it? Because every what if wala thought when you start entertaining, right, that is utilizing your mental energy. और आप हर वर्जन ऑफ लाइफ एक साथ लिव नहीं कर सकते, right? 5 different versions based on 5 different choices, lost opportunities, all of that. So make a choice, take decisions, and give your mind the permission to rest in that choice. आप जो चॉइसेस करते हो, डिसीजन करते हो, सोच समझ कर ही करते हो, है ना? काफ़ी एनालाइज करके, डिसाइड करके, कंपेयर करके, वही सब करके आप करते हो. सो क्लैरिटी कम्स नाउ फ्रॉम ट्रस्टिंग देम अ लिटिल. Okay, so that is one very big reason why decision fatigue slowly starts making us feel very drained from within. Okay, so now let's go to the last reason. The last reason, I would say it is micro heartbreaks. माइक्रो हार्ट ब्रेक्स मतलब जो छोटी छोटी चीज़ों पे जो हमको रिजेक्शन फील होता है, राइट? माइक्रो रिजेक्शंस एंड थिंग्स दैट perhaps remained unsaid, things that we could never say. तो छोटी छोटी बातें जो दिल में रह जाती है, करेक्ट? सो कभी ऐसे होता है दैट यू हैव टेक्स्टेड समबडी प्रॉपरली, सामने से बस या ओके ऐसा कुछ जवाब आ जाता है, या फिर you wanted to share something with somebody and the other person they just changed the topic, like it didn't even matter. So you feel sometimes that something is off, but आपको वो समझ नहीं आ रहा है कि why are you feeling so low about something, correct? Maybe you're feeling misunderstood, या कभी ऐसा होता है कि your intention was not to hurt somebody but they misunderstood you, और आप explain भी नहीं कर पाते, right? So many things like this where you feel it's not a big deal until it is, है ना? Somebody cancelled say a plan last minute और आपने ऐसे cool बनने के लिए बोल दिया it's okay, but अंदर से it didn't feel okay, है ना? तो situations where it's fine but it's not, nothing happened but something did. So individually ये सब जो है ये छोटी छोटी चीज़ें लगती है, तो हम बोलते हैं कि छोड़ो, it's not a big deal. But here's the thing, that your mind may move on, but your emotional system doesn't always. And if you are a sensitive person, it stores it. It's like, carrying a bag. Every small thing that you add will add to the little weight जो आपको तुरंत फील नहीं होता. But over time, the bag becomes heavy. है ना? तो ये micro heartbreaks. And along with that, there's also another layer. Things जो आप बोलना चाहते थे, things that you wanted to say but you didn't. Say you wanted to tell somebody that you felt hurt. You wanted to tell them that, you know what, I didn't like what you said, but you stayed quiet. आपने बोला ही नहीं. You wanted to clarify that that's not what I meant, but you let it go. Or you wanted to say no, but आप okay बोल के आ गए instead. है ना? You want to express how you really feel, but फिर आप सोचते हो कि अब रहने देते. So in that moment, staying quiet feels easier. But emotionally, nothing is resolved. So now it's not just what has happened. It's also everything that didn't happen that stays with you. Those unsaid words, later on they become unfinished emotions. And unfinished emotions, they don't disappear. They stay in your system, quietly taking up space. So यहाँ पे it's not one big heartbreak that's exhausting you. It's 100 small moments and 100 things that you never got to say. And because none of them felt big enough maybe to address कि ये बहुत बड़ी बात नहीं है, इसके लिए why should I take help or discuss this or share it. इसीलिए क्या होता है कि you have been carrying all of them silently. So यहाँ पे हम कैसे how do we address this? यहाँ पे हम shift कैसे ला सकते हैं is that, see, here the goal is not to react to everything immediately. That's not what we are seeing. कि कुछ हो गया तो आपको भी तुरंत reaction देना है, right? यहाँ पे what we are telling is that don't carry everything silently, because every time you say it's okay when it's not, so something stays within you. यहाँ पे जो shift की हम बात कर रहे हैं, it's about acknowledging what you felt. हर चीज़ बोलना ज़रूरी नहीं है, but हर चीज़ फील करना ज़रूरी है. Even if you don't express it outside, at least don't suppress it inside. आप लिख सकते हो, you can journal about it, you can sit with it. At least you can be honest and truthful with yourself that yes, this affected me. You can admit this affected me. Because unprocessed emotions, they don't disappear, they accumulate. और जब आप उन्हें थोड़ा सा process करते हो, that's when the weight starts reducing. ठीक है? So this was the 5th reason why you feel emotionally exhausted and you don't know why. छोटी छोटी बातें जो रह जाती है, छोटी छोटी बातें जो दिल में रह जाती है, या वो अनकही बातें जो हम बोल नहीं पाते हैं. माइक्रो हार्ट ब्रेक्स, माइक्रो रिजेक्शंस, right? Unsaid things, all of this, right? So that brings us to the end of today's live. So if you look at everything that we spoke about today, so emotional exhaustion, feeling drained, it's not about feeling something going terribly wrong in your life. Sometimes it's about things that are happening very quietly in your inner world. So you're just not tired of doing too much. You're tired of carrying too much, processing too much for too long. Okay? So sometimes just becoming aware of what is draining you, that is the first step towards feeling lighter. And if any of you feel like there's something specific that you're going through, something personal that you want to understand better, you want to take guidance on, feel free to book a clarity call with our team. We are always there to guide, to listen, and to help you make sense of what you're experiencing. Because sometimes you don't need to fix everything, but you need to understand what has been quietly draining you, right? So let's quickly check how many of you relate to whatever we spoke today. अगर आप साइलेंस क्रेव करते हो more than exciting things, more than fun, या अगर आप irritated feel करते हो but you don't know why, maybe you're not replying to messages not because you're busy, but you just don't feel like, yeah, you just want to disappear for a few days, a few weeks, a few months. So even if you relate to 2 or 3 of this, right, it means that your system is asking for a pause, and it's high time that you listen to it. Okay. So on that note, guys, we will end today's live. So those of you who missed, who joined late, please go back and listen to the entire live. If you have any questions, you can DM it to us, or you can also take guidance through clarity calls. We will be happy to clarify. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining.